Hi guys, this is Recovery Coach Tim. This short video is on getting your needs met. I hope that you've been able to go on the website and copy, download a little Excel spreadsheet I have that's working on. This is what you're going to fill out. This is what I recommend you look at, and this is what I'm going to talk about. So, getting our needs met. Most of the time, at least I did when I was in my addiction and everything, I was really more just surviving and kind of getting along and trying to do. And actually, the way you could describe my lifestyle would probably be more like a survival mode, in that I was doing whatever it took to survive. I think the normal things that a human being needs, I either overlooked some of them or blew by them or just assumed didn't. It was a luxury for other people. But in my recovery and in looking at myself and evaluating myself properly, I really had to compare myself to what's normal, really what the way things should have been, not the way I was last year or the way I was before. I always have a phrase for that it's kind of my recovery phrase. It says that better is the enemy of best. And what that means is a lot of people in recovery just get better. And they really don't reach for best, and I think that's sad because we fall a little bit short. So what I'm talking about today is just the list of the items that would be to get all your needs met, basically your needs met. I believe that this list, it's kind of vague, and it's got some things that you're going to have to answer specifically. But they cover all the bases, so that if every human being would focus on this list and decide whether they're skillful or not at getting their needs met, it'll make a big difference. I believe that life is a verb. I believe it's something to learn how to do. And if you don't know what to work on, you're of course not going to be very good at it. My essence of life is it's kind of like I went out to play a sport. And and I had a badminton racket and some badmintons, and everybody else was playing volleyball. And I just didn't seem to fit in, didn't know what was going on, didn't know the rules, so I had to look around and see what everybody was doing and then try to copy them. And of course, if you've lived your life that way, generally speaking, you'll fall short in lots of categories. The list, if you look at it, it's got 5 basic categories that I like to talk about, and that's really security, identity, intimacy, adventure, and creativity. Those are very broad areas, like the first one being security. That's essentially, are you safe? Now I've added to this chart, I've added the categories around that we like to discuss. That's basically the way we like to describe ourselves, either physically, emotionally, mental, or spiritually. Those are the categories. So I think it's convenient to say, like this one category, are you physically safe? Do you have security? Your physical life. Like if somebody's out to kill you, I have a friend that was very promiscuous in his addiction, and when he got sober, he was haunted by thinking that maybe he had AIDS, because he had done a lot of things that were kind of unusual for him, but he couldn't seem to get checked out. Part of his recovery is, we said, we've got to go to the doctor to find out. Luckily for him, we found out that he didn't have AIDS, but that actually haunted him for 2 or 3 or 4 years. And so that was a fear, that was a need that wasn't being met. He was physically unsafe because of his behavior. And of course, you can understand that if you have an illness or a disease, or you have somebody that's out to hurt you, that physical security is important. And then we have categories like emotional security. Some people, they lose their temper quickly. You ask them how they feel, they've learned to stuff it, they got in trouble. So anyway, these are what these categories are. So as you go down the list of security, identity is how you see yourself. And of course you have a physical identity, and you also have an emotional identity. You have a mental identity, in that how do you think, how do you put things together, are you logical? And of course a spiritual identity. How do you fit in the universe? Why were you created? Why were you born? It's all about? What are you doing here? Things like that. Those are needs that every single human being needs to meet, and I think they have to meet them every single day. I believe that if you don't get your needs met spiritually or healthy, you will get your needs met artificially. So we need to go through that. Go through the intimacy, that's of course relationships, physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual. Adventure, Adventure is something I think is God's gift. I think that's the part of life that wonders what's over the next mountain. It's wonder what the next day will bring. That's a natural instinct. That's a natural need. And that I think every human being has a need to be adventurous. But it was a physical adventure. I did some skydiving. I did some bungee cord jumping, things like that. Those are some of the things that I did physical. Of course, that affect me emotional and mental and spiritual. But that's the kind of thing that I believe we need to talk about. And then, of course, the one that I think is most often overlooked is creativity. Creativity is a natural instinct. I think it comes from our creation, and it is to have to carry that on. It's the drive we have that gives us our sex drive, our reproduction drive. It also is a desire to create a family, or maybe it even is to create artwork, or to be an artist or a musician. This is a song that didn't exist before you came along, and you created this song, and it may be around forever. That's the link, that we're all part of this creative life force, and I think we have to do our share, and I think everyone has a need to do that. So we have physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual needs to do. But anyway, that's what this chart's about. What I like to do is have you fill that out or look through it or talk about it. There obviously would be some areas that we need to chat, to explain, to be more fully developed. But the essential message is, if you don't know how to get your needs met spiritually, then you will get your needs met artificially.